Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. We're going to start BB.8, solve a quadratic equation by factoring. Okay, so this section is very, very, very important. You're going to recognize it, you're going to know how to factor, and then the solving part's very easy. So let's go ahead and get started. I am so excited because I upgraded to an Apple Pencil and an iPad, and I think my notes are going to be so much better. I hope you notice that. It was my Mother's Day present from my husband and baby. So, yay! I have much better handwriting. That's how much I love you guys. I get presents to teach better. Okay, so here we go. Solve for y. So, guys, we're going to be given a quadratic equation. The only way we can solve quadratics are when it's completely factored, okay? That's what we need. This is not factored. So the very first thing we need to do is factor it. So when you only have two, let me undo. Still learning my little pencil here. Okay. Okay. So cool. I can just tap it twice and it switches between pencil and eraser. Okay, so y squared minus 21y is 0. So what you're going to see here is all the equations equal 0. But we're going to factor this. So it's two terms, so you're going to take out the most you can, which would be a y. And then that would give me, so guys, I'm essentially dividing by a y. Okay? So that would give me y squared divided by y is a y. And then 21y divided by y is just 21. And of course, I'm keeping the negative. So now it's completely factored, and I can branch off and solve. So I would say y equals 0. Then I would say y minus 21 equals 0. And then I would add 21. So y equals 21. So technically, none of this is new. It's just combining all your skills and putting it together. We factored right before we went into quarantine, and then you were solving just the last section, BB.7. So we're combining it. All right, let's go ahead and look at our next example. Maybe you're ready to pause it and try it on your own. And push play when you're ready. All right, guys, so I need to factor this. So let me just rewrite it. J squared plus 14j equals 0. So first of all, everything needs to be on one side. So it should always equal 0, okay? If it doesn't equal 0, make it equal 0. Then I'm going to take out the most I can. We call it the GCF. I'm going to take out a j. So if I take a j out, I'm left with j plus 14. That gives me 0. Once it's factored, I can branch off, and I can say, okay, so j equals 0, and j plus 14 equals 0. Then I'm going to continue solving on this side, so j equals negative 14. So here I have two answers, 0 and negative 14. Now let me just talk about how they want the answers written in IXL. It says write each solution as an integer, proper fraction, or improper fraction. So that means no decimals. Okay? If there are multiple solutions, separate them with commas. You're going to have multiple solutions. So you would simply just go 0, comma, negative 14. Okay? You push enter, and of course it would say correct. All right. So now we have a trinomial. If you look above, our last two examples, they were binomials, just two terms. Now we have three terms. So with three terms, if your leading coefficient is 1, your a value is 1, you can make your table. If you guys remember the table, that's where you would say, oh, I'm looking for multiples of 6 that add together and make 5, and the 5's coming from here. So multiples of 6, well, that's 2 and 3, and then add together, that would be 2 plus 3. So these are my factors. So I would write it as j plus 2 and j plus 3, and then, of course, equals 0. Okay, and then that's factored, and now I just branch off. So I would say j plus 2 equals 0. Subtract your 2, so j equals negative 2. And then this side I would say j plus 3 equals 0. Subtract your 3, so j equals negative 3. Okay, and then you would just write your two answers as negative 2, comma, negative 3. That's it. Okay. All right, now this is a great one because this one does not equal 0 yet. So what we need to do is make it equal 0. So you have options. You can pull the 16t over, or you can pull the negative t squared to the other side. Now I'm going to pull the negative t squared to the other side because I would prefer to keep my leading coefficient positive. So this would be positive t squared minus 16t equals 0. I intentionally made this positive, my t squared, just to make it easier for myself. Okay, so it's a binomial. So what can I take out of two terms? So I can take a t out, and then I'm left with t minus 16 equals 0. And then it's in factored form, and then I would simply say t equals 0, and then t minus 16 equals 0. Add your 16, t equals 16. So my answers would be 0 and 16. Now, I just want to show you if I brought my 16t to the other side, I would still get the right answer. So let me just rewrite the problem and show you again. So if I chose to bring my 16t over, I would be totally fine. And I would be left with 0 equals negative t squared plus 16t. Okay, so the most I can take out, I can take a t out or I could take a negative t out. I would actually take a negative t out. Remember, if your leading coefficient's negative, take it out. So I'm going to take a negative t out, and then that would give me t minus 16 equals 0. I would branch off. Negative t is 0, which obviously if you divide 0 by a negative 1, that's still going to give you 0. And then t minus 16 is 0, so t would equal 16. So either way you get the same answer. It's up to you how easy you want to make it for yourself. Okay, moving right along. Okay, so here we have another one. It's just bigger numbers. Now remember, you always want to make it equal 0, so go ahead and pull one term to the other side. I like to keep my a positive, so I'm going to move the 342. So I'm going to say 9u squared minus 342 u equals 0, because I subtracted 342u. Okay, so then my next step would be to factor. Now I'm going to take out the GCF. So I'm going to take out, let me see, is 342 divisible by 9? So I'm checking on my calculator. I got 38. Okay, so I can definitely take a 9u out. So if I took a 9u out, I would be left with u minus, now just to show you, I'm dividing by 9u. That's what's happening here, okay? Just to remind you. So 342 divided by 9 is 38. Okay, branch off. 9u is 0, 0. Oh, u is 0. Then u minus 38 is 0. So then u is 38. Yay! So I got 0 and 38. All right, now let me show you the beauty of this. You don't have to take out the GCF. Taking out the GCF is nice, but you don't have to. So check this out. So if I had 9u squared minus 342u, all you really have to take out is the u, because what you need to do is you need to separate anything that's squared, because you need to get everything separated. Then you'd have 9u minus 342. Then when you branch off, you'd get u is 0. Now on the other side, you would just be giving yourself a little bit more legwork, which is fine. So I'm going to add 342. So I have 9u is 342. I'm going to divide by 9, and then u would also be 38, which is the same we got here. So you have options. We love options. Do what works best for you, or go back and forth. Play with your mood. Okay, so here we have a trinomial. My leading coefficient is not 1. So sad face, because this is going to require work. Okay, so you know what? Happy face. Who doesn't love a good math problem? Let's be real. You guys know I love these. So what I'm going to try and do is take out the GCF, okay? Take out GCF. So my first thought was, does 24 go into 88? No. I always check to see if that's the GCF. It's not. So let me see. Oh, I'm trying to erase. Does 12 go into everything? Let me see. 88 divided by 12. No. Okay, so it looks like my GCF is 8. So I'm going to take an 8 out. And then that would leave me with 3m squared. So let me actually show you. I'm dividing everything by an 8, okay? 256 divided by 8 is 32. And then 88 divided by 8 is 11. Okay, lovelies, we've seen this. My A value is not 1, so you cannot make a table. What you have to do is we have to guess and check, okay? So, all right, what would make a 3m squared? Well, that would be a 3m and an m, okay? Now, what would make an 11? Well, thankfully, I don't have many options. It's just 11 and 1. Now, my middle term's pretty big. It's pretty giant. So I actually, to be strategic, I'm going to put my 11 over here so that it would multiply with the 3. And I'm going to put my 1 on this side. Now, looking at this, this is a negative, which would mean one of these has to be positive and one has to be negative. So I just spit that out as like a pure guess. But to be a little bit more educated, 11 times 3m is 33 and negative 33. And that's a negative middle term. So I actually like where this is going. Now, that is an educated guess. So what I need to do now is I need to check it. So I'm going to change my color. So this is a check just to make sure if I foil this back, it's going to look like the original. So this would give me 3m squared minus 33m plus m minus 11. Negative 33 plus 1, remember that's a 1, is negative 32. So this did factor, so this is great. So yay, so I'm going to erase my work because we don't need that anymore. I do need that, so I'll keep my parentheses. I just needed to check to make sure it did foil back into the original, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to branch off. So I have 3 things to branch off to, okay? So 8 equals 0. 3m plus 1 equals 0. And m minus 11 equals 0. All right, so m would equal 11. Let's see, let's subtract 1. 3m is negative 1. Divided by 3, m is negative 1/3. And then 8 is 0. Impossible, okay? There's no variable there. There's no way 8 could equal 0, so don't include that one, okay? I branched off because you branch off each factor. You've got 3 factors, but this one didn't work. So these are my 2 answers. Negative, oh, why am I erasing? M is negative 1/3. So these are my 2 answers, 11 and negative 1/3. 11, negative 1/3. Remember, no decimals. They want it as fractions. Okay, so let's see. We're solving again. We've got 2 terms that already equal 0. I like that. So 11m squared minus 16m is 0. So first of all, there's no GCF I can take out between 11 and 16. So the only thing I can take out is an m, which would give me 11m minus 16 equals 0. That's factored, guys, so go ahead and branch off. M is 0. 11m minus 16 is 0. Okay, that's already solved for. Let's go ahead and solve the other side, which would be add your 16. 11m is 16. Divide out 11. M is 16/11. All right, stop there. No decimals. So my answers would be 0 and 16/11. So obviously some are going to take longer than the others. It just totally depends on the problem they give you. Factoring, as you remember, has all types of different examples. All right, here we got another trinomial, and my a value is not 1, so this means I'm going to be doing guess and check to factor, okay? So let's see. Let me rewrite my problem here. I just love having a workspace. All right, so the first thing is there a GCF to take out? There's not. This 3 throws everything off. So then what I'm going to have to do is guess. Okay. So to make a 4, that could be 2 and 2, or that could be 4 and 1. So I'm going to try 2 and 2 first. If that doesn't work, I'll try 4 and 1. Now, luckily to make 10, my only option, oh no, actually I have 2 options, 10 and 1 and 5 and 2. Ugh, okay. Well, I guess I'm going to go with 5 and 2 first, because 10's pretty big and would make these big. So let's try 5 and 2 first and see what we got. So I'm just going to stick 5 and 2 in because they're both 2v. And since this is a minus here, that means one of these has to be a plus and one has to be a minus. All right, so I put the plus on the 5 because my middle term is positive, so I put the positive on my bigger number. Let's go ahead and check it. Okay, I just want a different color for checking. So that would give me 4v squared. And then this would give me a minus 8v. Wait, minus 4v. Kelly. Got excited. Okay, so 2 times 2 is 4v. And then 5 times 2 is 10v. And then minus 10. Okay, so negative 4 plus 10 is a 6v. So that doesn't work. I'm going for a 3v. So I need to go back, erase. So what I'm going to do is swap out my 2v's. I'm going to try 4 and 1. So my first guess didn't work. It's okay. So now I'm going to try 4v and 1v. I purposely put my 4 with the 5 because my middle term's pretty small. I don't want to make it giant. If my 4 was on the other side, it'd be 4 times 5, which is 20. Okay, let's go ahead and check this guy now. So this would be 4v squared minus 8v plus 5v. Ooh, I like where this is going. Minus 10. Okay, so negative 8 plus 5 is a negative 3v. I needed a positive 3. Ooh, that's easy to fix. That means the only thing I need to do is change my sign. So 1v minus 2 would turn into plus 2. And then this, it would be 4v minus 5. Because then that would change the signs down here and make this a positive 3. Yay! So we factored properly. Okay, so now we take our factored problem. And we go ahead and solve. Oop, this should say equals 0. So I'm going to say 4v, that's not a 4, 4v minus 5 is 0. So 4v equals 5. I'm going to divide by 4. V equals 5/4. And then I would have 1v plus 2 equals 0 minus 2. So v equals negative 2. So those are my two answers, negative 2 and 5/4. Alrighty. Okay, so I picked this one. This is actually the same problem as above, if you look. But this doesn't have everything on one side. So I specifically picked this because before you go ahead and factor this, you have to make sure everything's on the same side. It has to equal 0. I said this before, but that is so crucial. Okay, it has to equal 0. So if I have 4v squared equals 10 minus 3v. Okay, now you could bring your 4v squared over. Now, I wouldn't recommend it because you would then be leaving a negative as your leading coefficient. That's not fun. So to be smarter and wiser on yourself, I would suggest keeping this positive and bring everything else over. So I'm going to add a 3v. So it would be 4v squared plus 3v equals 10. Whoops. Now I'm going to subtract a 10. So this would be 4v squared plus 3v minus 10 equals 0. Now it's ready to factor. Now this should look familiar because if I scroll up, it's going to look like exactly as we had this problem here, 4v squared plus 3v minus 10. So we know it's going to factor the same. So it'd be 4v minus 5. And then I'm scrolling up to see. It would be v plus 2. We already did the work, so why would we do that again? Then obviously we know the answer is v is 5/4 and v is negative 2. Same thing we got above. Just wanted to show that because everything has to be on one side, so it equals 0. All right, guys, so I know this one can be challenging, so I am here for questions. I'm here to help you. Please email me if you'd like to set up an office hours appointment, even if it's not Monday. Just reach out to me. I'm always here for you, and I love hearing from you guys. Have a great day. Bye.